Oh yeah.
All like a bunch of gift cards. I didn't give them to the other, I gave them to my family. Have you ever, and you know about this country? But you still know you're on reserve, even though you're working.
Okay, next announcement. We're going to start in a few minutes. This time I'd like to invite the people that are sitting on the agricultural table to join us up here at the stage. Beat Dial with James McNeely, Noreen Plain Eagle, Cedric Solway, Levi Blackwater, and the representatives from the Indigena Corporation. Pat Rothschild. Okay, good. Terry Dahl, I guess you're filling in for James McNeely. So I'd like to invite all those people to situate themselves here on the stage here, and we're going to go into the agricultural table presentations in about 15, 20 minutes. Just waiting for some of the head chiefs to come in, and then we'll begin.
Yeah. Oh, smart. Yeah. Yeah.
Because each of the doors we heard about they didn't say
Våga ett stort papper. Apa yang spopping itu pun stort papper semua kita. Våga ada kita ni sekarang kuat kamu siapa. On stammer kamu kita ini semua. Just kita. Aku pernah install ni kamu cipu. Våga tu pernah kau itu pun nikah. Suka. Våga apa yang spopping kamu kita semua kita stammer. Okay. Aksik sekadar ini. Next what's okay, multi kidney next multi and say yeah boxing he kaki ni chi boxing kaki ice chios and say I can understand the kills and no kimots taki that which okay I must go kaki ako kawan yung ice chios kaki kaks no nixi kaki and say look kita taste that si kanaka si niki and makes it what I put just a beach baki boki bad piece no ni this guy kakimin not si open ni ka kya sumuska okay mamiuka kikina ka tinne tsitsibuto ka kinitsu matapas guys okay zikanyo paki mixi sixikawa ka ki Historics Gopnik the Titsina book that speaks Skripoi is Skripoch Patski so Kanaka Tinso. Okay, the Mokatista Biokska Pumaka, Sioka, Amokso Kelix, Sikotskina, Nixi, Mokto Kicks, Gato Kicks, Connect so many times. Amoskoki, Akanuan state the Kilsi, Takite, Staka Koksanika, Sumunska. Kamers koki eso kwani kars nonix matits chipa it's the what to taxis amers koki nog ka aks mo na kumkina o kita eso kita pepia ni na sta ka ki amota pepia ka ki abskapi pikani o ki mi pikani o ka ki siksikao kamers sta ka po chipa ka ki ni skota po data pipia pisti Can say so kwani tiki aishi amas ko kaki is suchti kaki ke maha boktastaka ko Can say eda bokstiwatu pakaki mohkaki atsumutska and ik say takit khanoas tapi moksiawas katex mo ni sakaki khokse kinaki o kidera mohata ka ki manaski to piawa kina o ki na and they say, Sake tapako, Nitsake, Nochtitoch goods, Makpi Moxie, needs 60. O can you still kaki Moxie, sit up pixie, kaki, Ikaka pi mixi 6 gods, 9 mate 8 weeks. O can you say it while outside Nochtita book? Isakawa kaita pi kinno wax existo wax kars wax sake suki tsi pui o ken of kitsi ka kimen ko mixi siksikao spomo ka kinexi kanaka six akhumata pi tsi pui akhumata putsta pi tsi yawa ka kinik innaka toch kutsi eso kone ani ka tu katawa ka kiskik En say no si kakimin na moksi kulakata si tapi moksi mano katsi pomoeksi kaki si kapiuta si kaki ikaka tapi si tapi okay eso kaya kasanistaya as kita wa just tapi to explore eso kaya and so okay say speak Danish to eso kaya mo to pas samot si ken me Danish staya En nog ja goed taal kan is toch is niet technisch is kennis matan is si moksi mani pomoex ken nog ki ikas tapi o kya khatono an state ki osi mohka ki dinamska o ki tawat subkhtu pestis ano ka ki ni sa ki apu ka no ka ki iskata o kinam tumitskiaki ka namus ko ka ki utax moksisi to kinam ka ki det kano to wana o tsinska sis organista na tayo ko so kiniskana matsim e pomoksi itskina o ni sa ki matutsum katawmak o kinisto no khatsitsin siksi kanaka six ani meitsa to at suktu miskaki Und es taumach. Ja, was koki tuaria. En say ai kakimin na kokos no nixi kaki. Ako just the pizza sa moka tsimuska. Spoak se kota kokos no nixi kakinik. At tsimuska ni o ki maksau mai ai ka ki maksawa ka o ki matpoa na stai kukus na niksi ka ki kya kan stoya ki malaka stakata kinwa existo ai ka o ki amok sinita pas tapi amok si kumopi siniti moka ki moda Confederacy kita kenal ka kisinima sa mok si itupa mix o ki kaista pa inako wen moka ki mokini toes tomatsu si o pi ka ki o ki mai tustu kamenas tu utsi I ka ki moki ka ki aksi puyo eso kuani an kistunun no ki tauks no ni majitsi pa agitskri no it's still were the last ones to be conquered can so ke Chigi tapio si kaki agad no mo the 49th parallel matkot chiki tawo na asinami na close and Clark so in this case agad sa CP nitapi kitapi okay man itan khatus ni man sa kimo at some archaeology can you may no we were the giants of the plains on his indicate question makes he stick you a kaki ni tapong kat kapis on 8 feet that is spit I makes he it's a squad no next I get to just dope ki almost say these days schools of to be our godsi sukas war shirts okay go kikapi skapi pikani ko na kamani is about 6'7", 6'8". Macha to still saketa po kay Mr. Sokasis. Kamas ko ki awais to matsaki kukus no nixamos ki aya kais tio pi ki and se action so the ma kina. E what's tani oki ki matumini ki mo ka tsumo iskani ki yaksi ki takokko pati ukuiksu. Matso ko just a bit to kina. Okay, I'm going to tell that to see book at Sumuiskani. The Kaka Pi Mixi, the Takaxi Kakakok. Okay, do Titska, would such a so come I get Sapians to closer to me than my own siblings. So they need Skunakapi Mukaki at Sumuiskani. Okay, sweet Apatakok, so quick, Ninanska. En ik zei niks dat ze het goed zo goed zien. Oké, ik ga kijken bij, ik is toch papier, maar ja, ook kijk je nog gaat zo moeilijk. En ik zei niet, ik ga kokos zien, en ik zei kijk, oké, mocht ze man hebben, maar ik ga kokos, ik zei man is tot ze meer kan opgaan, zie. Maar het is ook iets, ik wil nog een spoon. Ik heb toch daar dus dat iets meer mocht kijken, niet zeker boxen. Okay, en ik jochtsi kaki min tupa, kako manistai ito manistis kapsi pivo, no 68 mato mo atstu ki beta pitch. Amas ko kaki mamiuka ki kinakita ni akito taksatsi mo, spoka pokitsa tapi mo kaki kistuna na kamitsa tapio, mato mo atstu pakaki kanaka tsi. Okay, ki mo kaki moto ki kanatsu ni text. Sakes kunata. O ken ki akai takai sta pipo makasio ka. So ki na tokos ki na kim ni so ki na ki na kamioka ki. O ki na biots ki na yo ken nix ko ke. De nog iets te pi mo ka tsumoiska. Ken is se eso kwani na ki na is si. En is se is sochtika ki kiachtastakak. Kennis te wakono aansteken ki osen no ki mochi aka ai kaki menksi tskona. Oki kya ko no khso bimo koni ka tsumuska kya ko ka po tsumusko peno ka ki skanat. Ai oni ka ki tuit pio ka ki kitai khsni kan ka tsumuska. Ai o so ka ki no pokichi ko menaniksi ka ki sikseka. Okay, pikani, abskapi pikani. Okay, no, kano, kaki, tisko. Espumusi kaki makini manaka. O keni kaki no katakku, straise pokum stusuni tuku stutsinika. O ki pitam yoku siksi kaki. O kiniksi mokutuks, kaiksi ni toino katra husiskoaja kaki kanasukapi. Niksi siksi kaaki toi. Tukin niin nämoe kaki mokutuks, kaiksi skapi pikani ni toi. Ennis ei no kaspumusi kaki niksuukkuissana ni tästi johkuustuvi. Sästi miksi taapiksi tässukin kiuppaka. Eniksi mä tässä puuttua kaki. Okiniksi sinaniksi linninaniksi naarsinaniksi. Ahkaiksi kamatumia ni kaki kanäiksi kuika. Aio kukumiki sonki matsitsanumahkaa kenne kaki atsumuska. Aino kaspumuusen kaki aumatuusmaa kaki itskinaaki moutukki kanatsuulite. Aatitsi paisääpu tai nämskäiksi mupistäiksi. Ennis tästä kateja alkaa kenne katsumuska. Ahkohkaika mut siipi alkaa kenne kaahkuuksua kaki. Ennis ei nohtis pumpstata. Aio pisuaksi kaki niittoi. Ketsit nomahkaa kenne kaki atsumuska. Kaspumuukinnan ni kaki ni kohsukunnan nahtsi kamut sapaamahkahpinna. Oki tahkiita mahtsumakhuskunnan itskimminna niksinitsitkutsimahpinna noin nokka nohsniika. Ennis ei nohtas pumpstaa kakinna kaki. Ajoilla kaki matteenskatsimattava kaki puakski. Ajoki misäkäsini kimstipiukspinnan kaki. Akanistas kun tapio kaki siksi keitsi puju kaki ni kaki tamatusiman. Akseis siksi kaki. Ennis ei nohtas pummukinna. Oki nohki stakannan kaki kitänskatsimattapinnan päätä piika. Oki nakumhkina kaki enskatsimattava kaki. Ajomu viukaki, kiekskäätua tuita piua siika. Niitä käyksemääkonna kaki, spummukita. Siipistuu kuusiikaki. Ajo ninnaannesta aikaki. Spummukitaki muonnain. Keitoh keitaaksins katsomatta. Amasko kaki kitaaksuksi siitä mukaista peistamatsta tuuppialka. Oki spummukinnan kaki oksiskuut siispinnan kaki. Stawatsema naksi päätä pinsini. O kersohkorsiskuut jopki pippustui simikki pippui. Thank you, Elvin. Ikineni nitsuka piniksukkoak. Kanista on mitä piippuja. We're going to be presenting the agricultural table of the Blackfoot Confederacy this morning. And to moderate the panel here, I'm going to call on my co-MC, May Stoin, to moderate this portion of the conference, the presentation of the agricultural table. Clayton Blood will be moderating this particular session. I've really enjoyed the conference this year. I think we realize that the Confederacy has come a long way since their beginning a few years back. It shows that if we work together, we can get a lot of things done. And I was talking to some of the participants here. Mary Ruth McDougall this morning indicated that this conference is so good. We should find a way to be presenting at each of the communities, particularly to young people. They need to hear these kind of things that our leadership, the office of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the initiatives that they're doing on our behalf. I want to thank the elders for your participation here during the conference. I really enjoyed your stories yesterday. There are a couple of stories that they forgot to tell. Nistakson kina. Asne ta pipis pamisato binistakis nime tohkona nistakson kina. Big horn sheep. Hanen sinohtaa porka me aksiksakui. Niitä pikki minut sapuakka. Stop sex tosi maagiti soksina. Niin tuimi muksukuen otsapuakka. No ei voi oksapuakka. Sokui. No niitä enstetään umskataan. Umska kuukur. Sokui. Kennemme. Sitten saattaa kuksi kihto. Käänne komoon ksiimstään mukaan niin sitä piipäitä niin mä da kutsi mutta puhuttiin. Käänne jaamukoka. Ane paakkojakin taakseksi, puhuttiin sapuutakin maailmoksi. Sitä puhuksi, kun pitää niitä saamista puhua. Ane nyt puhukiiksi sapuutta. En ole heitä mukaan esuksaa piipuja, iksukkaan noiniksi kohtsukaa. Ikästä pitää ohtuukin sätäiksi. Annikseen on pistet saa piipuja. Niin sitten on aamukansta siksapi. Annikseen on tuumaa piipuja. Kestä pitää napikan ahpumaamattuja. Itse mi siksapi annikseen mukaan. Matto tipstäkää annuke tsissauhpumunnuksistikui. Mä tsihkaa ja miitsitapea umhkotsimiuttakin miksoolhois. Naantuukaa mistuutsitaa tuepistäkin. Suomea patsitsieneen on kakkoapia. Itse paksikkamat se tamsääksikaminen me on tuotakäännäkäisiin. Kaksi pukkitaapiksi mekin. Me omi nakutsiin mannista puhtuu. Me tuuttuu me on sitten ikään siksapi. Hän heistä saapumana naapikana. Mattui. Hän on kutsunut. Ei siitsoke. Kesäkanssa saa naapikana. Niinkä ei. No kakkoa. Tamsääksi kun me tuotakäännäkäisiin. Apina voisin kohta tuutsi puhtuu. Mä siksi se peitä pahpeipi minä pikanssa. Se ei paasna. Eikö olla hoo seisna? God big one at home, God big hole, big tomorrow. Because tämä on great. Tämä on just a beat, yeah. Siksi se piansi miksi. Understand where might not be. All right. Get you off on a good note here. We'll turn the mic over to Clayton to moderate the Ag Table of the Confederacy. Okay, Weston.
Okay, Nick. Itko näekö sen puolella kiitaa miksi kiitaa suurta. Mohkaa kiika nohs. Niin mä oon johtsi paatseksaakin. Mohkaa muumaakin. Jäkitä pskan joupaakin. Indian Association. Iskini mitsenskatu. Asa nohkanat kaatsiks. Kistunnon. Sanokan siitä piitskat se joupan mohkaa muumaakin. Ka nohs. Ja ne kohtakin the Confederacy. How would you translate that into Blackfoot? So I guess we leave that as your next year's assignment. But I guess just to kind of highlight some of the proceedings yesterday. Many of you that didn't join us, hey, you missed a great opportunity of storytelling. From the very old, some of our elders kind of opened the door about what we can say and what we can say in Blackfoot. But one of the highlights, and at least for me, was the passing of the torch to our younger people. And it was demonstrated by the community that says they've lost the most. They say they've lost the most of their language. But they demonstrated they are making the most efforts to revive it. And even if it's not to the pure, and I mean, Elvin gets to me, but it's difficult for some of our younger people to speak the way you speak. And you know, for a lot of that, we are very forgiving. At least the effort, I guess, is the intention that we're looking for. And I know in our religious practice, our spiritual practices, you know, we understand that. But that's what makes those partnerships, those societies, very enjoyable. You have so much fun inside of them, even though you're in a spiritual mode. Some of your partners and some of our partners from the past, even though they're good Blackfoot speakers, they make mistakes too. But it makes the time very enjoyable. And there's nothing to fear about it. I know in our community, Mikanya, one of the communities is what we call the Suitapi, the people that live along the edge. It's not Little Chicago, it's Suitapi. And the interesting thing about it is everybody knew the kids still spoke pure Blackfoot. And that's all they spoke. But we all kind of gravitated to them, and I think as some of the ladies yesterday shared, is we're not laughing at them, we're admiring them. And that was our expression of admiration, was our laughter. But I think Wilton's tale of selling hay kind of opened the door for our theme to this morning. We want to look at how we have sort of adapted to some of the technology, the practices of farming that came with the newcomers to our lands, but has been always around with us. I mean, we don't necessarily say that the white people brought agriculture to us. We had a different form of agriculture. But there's various aspects to it. And I know in some communities, there's always been partnerships too with Gana and Siksika in doing some of the irrigation that has been in our community since the early 90s. And before that, there was always kind of like trade of horses. And I think a lot of the Blackfeet still take pride in how they were able to obtain their herds of horses by raiding other tribes. It was a practice, but it was acceptable back in the day. So anyhow, what we have today is the various initiatives in our communities. The Blackfoot Confederacy. And I guess the intention is there's several efforts that says, imagine if we all work together. There could be some very interesting opportunities and could be a big force to deal with. But we'll begin with the intention was that the Blood Tribe, Akana, is the host nation of the Confederacy this year. So we'd like to recognize that and ask Apitsi, Hank Shade, to begin with the opening comments on the Ag Table in Ghana.
Thank you, Clayton. Okay, get connected to the one. Actually, I yoki tansto. Looks coming out and get connected to the one. Is to that get connected to the one. Ziksuki that get connected. Okay, no dark sea point, and no guys to ye is to ye. No day point banana mocha. In Semapi, Gedausen, Nidapakawo, I get when I evolved to Gedausen, no, Nidapakawo gets Gakko, and no, Idea put in small Osicrist dog. Ken siya no sipot. Ano? Ang state tax pinani ko makawo as the mikax say tapi sistayos. As mikax sa gusto nyo na stop it. Ken siya no ano. O diag sa hotsi ito man si kakimatupan. Pagkot awat tayo sa tapiyos ni Dawson. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Ag Table Year in Review. I'd like to thank Unistomach. Thank you for the prayer, Elvin, for the prayer. The organizers, I'd like to thank the organizers, the planners, and all the staff. All I've heard is good things about this conference. Great job, everyone. But I did make the talent show last night. There's a few ladies that kind of weren't behaving when, what's his name, Eldon came up and said, I had to say behavior. So. That was a great night. And Lance, same effect. Like I said, we formed our Ag Table a little over a year ago, less than a year ago, I mean. And then we held meetings on each of the nations. And this is our review of those meetings. On the Canadian side, the Confederacy members, we own a full 30% of all First Nations land in Alberta. So we're positioned to be global. We have enough Confederacy land, especially when you add the 1.4 million acres of the Amskapi Picani. So as a Confederacy, we really are positioned to be a global force in agriculture. And our next presentation will tell us more about that. So I believe for the most part, as I mentioned in my opening statement, we're mainly a royalty collector. We lease out a lot of land. On the Bloods, we lease out 200,000 acres. And for that reason, our chief, at the start of this term, brought in financial people and financial financiers and financial and analytical people to look at the value chain. How can we participate? There's about 8 stages in the value chain, from owning land as we are landowners to food on the table, transportation, processing, marketing, to putting food on the table. We'll learn more about that. And I think that's our ultimate goal, to participate in the value chain. Simple things like providing fertilizer, diesel to the farmers. That's only a part of it, leasing land. We'll hear more about that in our next presentation. So I'd like to get right into our presentation. It might be small to read, I'll read it for you. So since November 2018, each nation has taken has taken a turn hosting our Confederacy Ag Working Group meetings. And then they showcased what they were doing in agriculture, and they showcased how they managed their land. And we looked for areas, like I said, where we could align. We looked at their best practices, and then we looked for opportunities for us to work together as Sichigate. And I'll just quickly list briefly, and then I'll go into more detail. Our original hope was that each nation would present on their ag and land management initiative. But due to time, unfortunately, I'll summarize the nations, but they are here at the end of the presentation if you have any questions for them. So in November, the Blood Tribe was first. We went to BTAP. They hosted, and they provided an overview of BTAP, their operations, and we toured the hay forage processing plant. We learned about their business model, their business structure, successes, and then the lessons they've learned over the years. You know, they've had this feast or famine period, and we learned about how they're managing that. A little bit more on that later. In December, we went across the line on Scapi Picani. Very impressive how they operate there. Their council chambers have a public gallery. They involve their people in, they have an agricultural strategy, and the people participate. So there's a lot of impressive things about the Scapi Picani and their land test tenure system, integrated land use systems. They've got a water compact, the Blackfoot water compact. I'll say a bit more about that later. But really, in the global economy, agriculture, water is like gold. They're sitting on a large allocation. In February, we went to Picani. They hosted, it was really cold. Remember the cold snap, and that's when we were in Picani, but they warmed us up. They had some really awesome door prizes in Picani. And they informed us about their lands department. One of their biggest challenges, and a couple of their young guys that manage, is they've got community pasture. And you know that, community, and that's something connects in Maya. So that's quite a challenge, trying to get some order there, controlling the amounts and trying to protect the land from overgrazing. They're doing things like the animal control, trying to regulate their grasslands. They have a drone program, source water protection plan, and they're planting some trees. So they're doing a lot of environmental things there. In May, our final stop was in Siksika. And they hosted and they provided an overview of Siksika herd's operation. They herb, a different kind of matuye. Medical marijuana. And they're still in the licensing process with Health Canada. They're going to have very high quality product. And we looked at their building design. So to grow that product, it's all in the design of the building. And they give us an overview of that. And there's opportunities in the future. Instead of all the nations pursuing licenses, maybe there could be some franchise opportunities down the road. Who knows? It's up to us. And then they highlighted their ag initiative. They've got a large hospitality sector. They own hotels, resorts in BC and Alberta. And then at that meeting, that was our final meeting, we started talking about the border. How can we get Scapi Picani raw product into Canada to process? How can we maybe get beef? How can we have their certification program apply in Canada? So the discussion turned into, and always was, a lot of the border issues. And I think that's going to be talked about later on. So here's the working group. Scapi Picani, Terry Katsy, he's on council. Melissa Weatherwax, John Dickens, Helen Auger, Lauren Bird-Radler, Jerry Lunick, and Terry Dahl is up here with the EME, Blackfoot EME project. For Kainai, it was myself, Levi with BTAP, Coan with lands, Kirby, Tim, Kyla, myself from council, and we're also on the BTAP board. Picani, the land manager, Noreen Plain Eagle, Murray Yellowhorn, ranch manager, Katrina Shade in economic development. Siksika, SRDL, a lot of the SRDL people, Shane Breaker, Stuart Breaker, and Cedric Soloway. Cedric is up here. Confederacy, Tribal Council, Kinney Shade, Jack Brewer. So here's a quick overview. Like I said, the panel is here if you have any questions at the end of my presentation. They have about 1.5 million acres, 640,000 hectares of land. And then they recently acquired back 324,000 acres of fractionalized interest land. Now, fractionalized interest land comes from allotment, the Allotment Act, 1888, 1904, 1910, when they were allotted land. And so they became owners of the land. And so you could see in 100 years or so, as the great-great-great-grandfather passed away, the heirs were assigned to the land. In the worst cases, 1,000 people owned a piece of land. And it was just hereditary, fractionalized land. It just sits there idle because 50 to 90% have to vote on what to do with it, lease it out. If they do lease it out, they get $25 each. So they were able to making some headway in the fractionalized interest area. They have 750,000 acre-feet of water. In the global economy, California is drying up. They've shut down their water. They're going to drink their water. In the United States, they're almost paying farmers not to farm. They don't have enough water to irrigate. In the Middle East, they're going to drink their water. They're shutting down water to 100,000 metric tons of hay production. Millions of acres, no more water. So when you see up on the screen, the Blackfeet have a water allocation of 750,000 acre-feet in the global economy. That's a license to print money because the world demand is increasing almost like 15% a year for protein. There's dairy cattle, beef cattle, there's plant-based food. So we're in an ideal situation if we work together and those border crossing issues. The Water Compact will provide opportunities in agricultural development, shifting, as we said earlier, from just being a landlord to an agricultural producer, jobs, training, and education. This is one place where they had multi-species, in the multi-species meat processing plant, they surveyed their people and asked them things like, would you do a little garden? And a lot of their members said, yeah, they want to eat healthier. Would you do a little garden? And a lot of their people in this survey said, yes, but could you show us? So I think they're going to start eating healthier if people would grow their own garden. The multis is still in the feasibility stage because they do have buffalo. They ship them to Idaho or far away to get processed. Why not have their own facilities? And then there's the INI initiative, and maybe during lunch hour, we could maybe have a short video on that, maybe. Then we went to Bikini, and it's the south portion of Bikini that has the dark brown rich soil. Their total acres of farmland are 19,760 acres. They've got a lot of, and this is a good thing, they've got probably more land in grass, native grass, and forage. There's crop rotation on that farmland. There's soil testing, of course, to make sure that it protects the land for future generations. And I think that's the name of the game for all the land management departments. Protect the land for future generations. And like I said, some of the land is being converted back to grass. They have grazing pastures. I talked about that earlier. Total of registered, and so this is through the tribe, registered grazing on about 9,000 acres. Their North Haley's community pasture, almost 5,000 acres. But here's the big one, 27,000 acres of community pasture grass. So that's a big job of the lands department managing that. The CY Ranch, they've got about 600 head of cattle, cow-calf operation, and they run about 20 buffaloes. So there's a trend started by the Blackfeet and moving towards, and Leroy Lambert, the Buffalo Treaty, signed by many nations. There was just Hobina just signed on later. Oh, tomorrow. Okay, moving on to Siksika. Siksika, like I said, had a lot of initiatives under SRDL, like their hospitality industry. But we'll just take this one slide. Cedric is here. They have the Siksika Irrigation Land Corporation. I don't know if you can see that well. I'm having a heck of a time. Siksika Irrigation Land Corporation has 33 pivots, so they're obviously quarter section pivots, and they irrigate 55,000 acres. Siksika, and they grow on that pulse crops like canola and peas, and then other crops, durum wheat. They do their own farming. They have a farming corporation, and they farm 5,800 acres under their, and they're going to expand. They have a very different land tenure system than the Bloods and Beacon. So they're going to expand. Same with the ranch. They run about 375 head now, cow-calf operation, and they're going to expand that too. Then we go to the Blood Tribe Agricultural Project. It's Canada's largest irrigation project, second largest in North America. We reorganized the forage plant and our water delivery operations. It was a massive project because there wasn't much maintenance for its 25-year lifespan up to now. So we brought back Canada, Alberta, the TC committee, tripartite committee, and said, let's really look at refurbishing, rebuilding the weak areas, doing some maintenance, fencing. Surprisingly, it wasn't in that bad a shape. The original estimates, repairing it came in a lot less. There's an expansion. We're going to expand 5,000 irrigated acres to the head lease for a total of 25,000 acres supplying forage to the processing plant. Canada exports in 2016, about 400,000 metric tons of forage, timothy, into the international market. BTAP's goal is 100 to 135,000 metric tons within a 4-year period. So you can see when I start talking about being a global player, that's going to be 20% or more of all of Canada's exports coming out of BTAP. So just think about it. I can't stop thinking about that 750,000 acre feet across the line. But just think about how we could be a global player and dominate in certain agricultural industries. And then, of course, they're always seeking new opportunities. So that's what we did all year. We got together, we went to each First Nation, we're kind of leasing out land. How can we participate, not just be idle royalty collectors? How can we take advantage? There were so many ideas, maybe 20. And we said, well, let's be realistic. Let's just do 4. Otherwise, we'll be chasing our tails. Let's just do 4. So forage kind of came out on top because we already have the infrastructure. We already have the land management systems in place at BTAP, and Siksika has their land management systems for irrigation. We already have a forage processing plant that is going to double its capacity, 2 presses, 2 shifts. So that was a logical start. And from the start, we did say Blackfoot Confederacy will not do business development. So this is something we're handing off to the business people. And I think our next presenters are the business people, and they'll talk more about business. But our job was to bring our people together, let's talk and find the opportunities. Meat processing, of course, with all the available. Lake Reserve capacity is around 4,000 to 5,000 head of cattle for grazing for the summer months. So there's a lot of potential. There's about 5 ranchers out there now. Both the 3 tribes in Canada have ranches. So meat processing is something we could seriously look at. And then of course the ag. How can the water? Each tribe has an allocation. How can we manage, how can we cooperate? How can we manage water? And the major challenge, I guess, to international cooperation, international trade is border crossing. I'm glad we're going to have a presentation on that later on. So with that, that is what these folks and other folks that aren't here have been up to all year. I would just like, I might get into trouble, I'd just like to thank Kimmy Shea. She was the glue. Because there was somebody emailing us, we got a meeting in 2 months. Here's the agenda. Do you have any agenda items? Remember, we had a meeting last month. Here's all the notes. Here's the summary. And then she made me look really good with this, putting together this presentation. I'd like to thank her. So, is there any questions for our panel? Yes, Wilfred.
Hank, it's good you guys are talking about the land. We're talking about farmland, leasing land. We talk about grazing land. But I think under the Blackfoot Confederacy, we talk about land claims. All the different tribes are working on land claims. When you stop and look at the reserves at home, where we come from, for example, Bicani, it's got to a point where people are wanting to build houses, but there's no land available. And I think that the Blackfoot Confederacy members, like for example, Canada, Bicani, Bicani. From now on, I think that our leadership, and we have to give credit to our chiefs and our councils for the amount of work that they are doing in trying to improve things for the people back home. We have to keep that in mind, and we have to support them on it. But the thing that I'm saying today is that when you stop and look at the reserve at home, the population is so high. When we start working on land claims, I don't think we should be thinking about money. Today we are saying this is all our land. Well, let's start taking the land back for our own people to use, because we're running out of space. I think that your people that you're working with, Hank, should be evaluating how much land is worth. And when we're talking about the land claims, the price of that could be brought into the claim. And I think that by doing that, for example, if the Bloods are working on a land claim, they're going to naturally come up and say, well, how much is that worth? And you guys would be able to supply them with it on the information part. Because I think that we have to be very careful as Treaty Indian people in the Blackfoot Confederacy that it's going to come a time that we're going to say, what are we going to do tomorrow? We get no more land. We can't build a house for this guy, that guy, or that. So it's important to start focusing on our land. If we get $1 million today for a land claim, tomorrow we get nothing. But if we take the land back that belongs to us, we're further ahead. It's worth more than $1. So I think a lot of the work that your people are doing, Hank, should be concentrating on that and assisting the chief and council and band members at home as to how we should deal with land claims. And
thank you very much. That's the kind of stuff, wisdom from our elders that we need to hear. So I know there's people taking notes. I don't want to lose that. I want it to be noted. And I think it's something we should talk about in the future. Clayton, I'd like to move into, and if we could go beyond 10:15 for our specific, what we're talking about is trying to be not just an idle royalty collector. Let's participate in the value chain. So I'd like to, I don't know if the chief wants to set this up for revision. What I suggest, and unfortunately, our panel, we might not be able to entertain questions. I'm suggesting, unless you guys will give us till 10:30 for the rest of the ag.
Yesterday, if the discussion from the communities and participants wants to hear it, by all means, I think we can hold our stomachs for a little bit longer for a break. So I think we're getting some nods. And if the interest is there, like we did yesterday with the Blackfoot, the Blackfoot language, the training, we went way beyond our time. So we're accommodating. That's fine. For the next group that will be presenting our discussion, and you're hearing some of the information that Hank is sharing with you. But behind the scene are some of the partners that we've been working with for years now in trying to bring this about. So bear with us as we get set up, and I'll call on Makinima to introduce our next group of speakers.
Nixo Kwame, that's Chini one from he can still beats. Can not look out to my gate anya. Me a cooker to send it's in Chicago and no need boy. Take the seat that you don't understand who see the motion and no canoxen. He moxie dani cow. He marks off see up scores in noxie twigs. 6 gates and the big marks off see up scores. A moxie axi weeks and Kidago to axi we are no one is that to pinan and me can no one is to be a giap to pinan and stuck a few part to pinan and near to book subsuka, Pia woman stash suka, Pio Moka in Simapu Dutch. Okay, Kidago to our can make a mock scratch. Okay, moxie. Boats and mix up. Okay, mix it up boat that kicks me today, Simach Pinani. Executive. I know it's a test, Tunisia, test, Today, Naxakutsakus. It's Gohaika, Kimatopina, Naxawea, be Nahutu Chikatukus. Kaxino Kitans, and Okaikanis Napo and Oka. Dagumanista, Kimatopina, Dagumanista, the Poakon, it seems Simana, Matri. Ikuta Poinam a Gakshapi. And for me, it's a dance in Mahbina. Oh, the next time I touch the Abadams in New Mexico, got that with them. Oh, can man touch the next ice skinny six. And look at down at the home at home, Nistis, Matri. And that was it, which been nine key and Homa. This kind of Kidan States, the much so quite equine is to create woman star put the key. Scapi Picana, Batsi Picani, Sixicao, Can Sigohan sticks of stuff in that woman state, woman star put expina. And Sky Dagita port expina, and you Dagita Fanasuka, Bishpi, Keystone, 6 gates at that. Okay, my niece is a book, says Sakatu. Maxo, Soka, is to be a house, the skies of the Spamu, Sakatu. Ako sports is kitschako. Aksam pista panio, Akshima, big wax. Akania, Mada could book Shimach Pinan, Chach. Mada could book Shimach Pinan, Chach. Tax the could book Shimach Pinan, Stock. Need sock to the house, Kitan, Stock, way, Chach. The Zagita Skano, Nistundan, Nokomoxi Mokutu, Scan. Ito mo maka, o kani si ka kimatum, o kaita isami ka kimatum, na kinok, no ito mo sa katum, no kani koy. Kano kumantas ka kokimyaw gagsimati, ki kanye na piska ekspinan, madak si kaku tuwa mix isto. Ako sa sitapio, akit skoh pumato sinis koy ka. Open the dark side, people. Thank you for continuing to attend our 3-day conference. We've tried to share as much information with you on some of the important matters. Of course, our language, and of course, involving our elders, our historians, our spiritual people, our speakers, to ensure that we do not forget that one of the important mandates that we have as a confederacy is to retain and protect the language that our Creator gave to us. And so with that, we will be able to retain and protect that important spiritual aspect of our ways that our Creator also gave to us a long time ago. So, and then of course, it was so enjoyable. It was so enjoyable listening to our elders yesterday. They talked about some of the stories. Some were from a long time ago, some from not so long ago. But I think it's important that that we hold more of those gatherings, not just as our conferences, but that is a part of the strategy that we want to put in place within our confederacy, that we continue to gather our elders, our historians, our speakers, our spiritual people, so that that would be a part of the way for us to retain and protect our language. And of course, Hank's presentation and the good work that is being done by our agricultural representatives from the tribes of the Confederacy. There is that atmosphere of unity. If we combine our resources, our human resources, if we combine our agricultural resources, we would have so much more impact on the world market. And I think some of us have gotten to realize that in order for us to be successful in what business activities that we are into, in order to be successful in the marketing of our agricultural resources, we have to think beyond southern Alberta. We have to think beyond Alberta. We have to think beyond Canada, beyond North America. So we've started that process. It is working, and with all of the combined knowledge that our technical, our professional people, our traditional people have, and combining our agricultural resource lands, we'll lead to bigger things. But we wanted to give you an example. We wanted to give an example as part of our presentation. That's why we've asked John, Julius, Christine, and the other team members of Indigena to share with us some of the specific developments that will talk about the progress that has occurred, that will talk about that incredible opportunity that we have in marketing our agricultural products. I had asked John Julius to come up to Canada about 10 years ago, more specifically in the energy sector, because of the good work that he did with some of our cousins, such as the Southern Utes, Northern Utes, and so on. And so he has remained. They see the opportunity, not just in the energy sector, but as well in some of the other important sectors, such as agriculture. So some of us have gotten to know John, Christine, and the other representatives of Indigena, but as well, I want to introduce a very important person in the development that we are doing back home with Ghana Forage. Ghana Forage, that is the business entity that is primarily responsible for processing our agricultural products. And Jamie is here. Ishchipapis. Oh, kimatchustutsim ammuhka tenakkas. Tamayaksa kuyakshkatsim. Or just a beach. I'm not yet the old Kikistun. With that, I want to perhaps call on John to lead off the discussion. For some of you who haven't heard John, you have to listen very carefully. He's from Texas originally, so you'll know what I'm talking about when you hear John. Sultan, a member of the chieftainship. Okay, Sultan.
Okay, I'm not John. Tamex Galatami, Ixukapi Gitsinos, Listoko Mochkaki. Amo Sutana. I just wanted to thank the elders and the Blackfoot Confederacy and our partners for inviting us to share some thoughts on agriculture today. And I just wanted to introduce the members of the Indigena team. Many of you know us. We hang around here a lot. At the back of the room, you'll see Susan Hammer. She's our VP of Client Relations. We have with us today, up from Dallas, Colin Sharp, President of Indigena Capital, and Austin Colpini, one of our Vice Presidents from Dallas. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Good morning. The chief has already ruined it because I was going to tell you, once you heard the accent, that I was from southern Alberta. But now we know the real story. As we get started, I want to thank the elder Crosshouse for the prayer this morning. I want to thank all the leaders, elders, and people here for allowing us to present in your territories today. As the chief said, we were invited in 2009 to come to Canada because we shared some mutual friends, and our company and myself have been credited with partnering with many nations in the U.S. to help them advance their economic opportunities. So for 35 years, we have only partnered with nations like yourself. I'll take just a second before we advance into agriculture, tell you a little bit about Indigena. But the first thing I would offer, because it's always good to know who you're talking to, as a young man, I was in the resource business. And when you're raised in Texas, you're either in the ranching or the resource business. And we bought a project that happened in southwest Colorado. And I went to introduce myself to the landowners. And lo and behold, that was a nation by the name of the Southern Ute Indian Tribe. I didn't know anything about tribal nations, indigenous communities whatsoever. I didn't know that I was actually not supposed to go meet with the owners of land because under the U.S. system, I was supposed to go meet with the government, the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It was fortuitous for me that I went to meet with the nation. Immediately, what didn't make sense to me as a young business person was that this nation had 350,000 acres, a lot like yourself, a large reserve or reservation, but they were impoverished. I couldn't understand it because they had so many resources, but yet they lived in impoverishment. And so my intellectual curiosity took over as, why is this a situation? Fast forward 35 years, because this is all I've done for 35 years, and I have a lot of answers. I've heard those answers from people like you, because before you can assist, before you can help, before you can project, before you can add value, you have to understand the problem. And people like yourself have been good enough to tutor me as to the issues you were facing. And what I found that was so unique in all this time is while the federal government will pound on the table and demand that you become self-determined, or a term that the chief and I use, which is produce financial sovereignty, because there's only one kind of sovereignty. If you're dependent upon anybody, you're not sovereign. So it starts with financial sovereignty. But the very government and their regulations stand in the way of your success. You have all these great opportunities, but the very people that stand in front of you and say you must accomplish these things are actually the biggest impediment to your success. And so with that, for this 35 years, I built a company that specializes in providing capital. Some people say we're an investor. We're not. We're a partner. We partner first. We invest second. We think nations like yourself make incredible partners. Therefore, we're willing to invest. In my short career, we've invested a tad over $2 billion into nations like yourself. What that has meant to the nations, I'll never forget. The first elder got a hold of me and said, the Southern Utes, my name there was Panakadowicz, which was money man in their language. And she said, now come over here, Panakadowicz, I need to talk to you. She said, everything's not about money. I said, okay, I'm in trouble. Kind of like when Dorothy stares at me real hard, I know she's telling me, hurry up. And so I said, what's on your mind? And she said, John, it's about education. It's about housing, as the gentleman mentioned. It's about opportunity for our young people. And she went through a long list, and I said, you're absolutely right. Those are the priorities. How do you provide those priorities? Panaka, money. So back to the old game. Don't hate the player, hate the game. So we want to talk to you today about, we think you have tremendous opportunity. So starting with that, So we're going to jump through these quick. I've kind of given you an infomercial on what Indigena does. But basically, what it's meant to those nations is that we have provided capital and opportunities that have produced economic sovereignty to those nations, and we've done that in a host of sectors. Historically, that was more resource-oriented. However, about 4 years ago, we decided that as a company, we wanted to be able to invest in every sector that might produce economic opportunity for nations like yourself. And so, again, when I'm at the Southern Youth, they rank at the top of every accomplishment, whether it be housing, healthcare, education, dropout rate in local high schools was 60%. They had no capital. Today they're worth $8 billion. Dropout rate's less than 10%. College kids are paid to go to college. Every elder has a retirement. We built the largest hospital in southwestern Colorado. So they truly have economic freedom. So using that business model, we begin to partner with other nations. When Chief Fox asked us to come to Canada, at first it was about resources. I think today we've invested possibly $130 million into the resource business with the Blood Tribe, who have been great partners. I believe we were listed as the largest investor on reserve in energy. And remember, we didn't choose energy. Each nation chooses what's of interest to them. We don't have a vote. We just look at options. Our business model is simple. I'll speed this up. We work with nations to evaluate their opportunities, their rights, and then they determine if those rights make sense for them to deploy. Today, it could be simple real estate, it could be infrastructure, renewable power, agriculture, resources, business services, other real assets. We invest. What's very different about us is under the federal government's model, they said, be like us, be a government. They left out one important thing that they had. Your own federal government couldn't run if they couldn't tax the 37 million people in this country. So they said, be a government like us, but they didn't give you the ability to tax. Therefore, you have to produce your own revenues to solve problems. So we focus on the value chain. Under the federal government's business model, they would have told you for hundreds of years, you have land, lease it to somebody else, let them develop it, let them farm it, let them own that commercial opportunity. Our position is you should own those commercial opportunities. What do you need to do that? You need capital. It doesn't matter where you look in the world, what sector, every sector except the indigenous sector would have a banking institution that's used to deploying capital in that space. The indigenous space, 55 million acres in the U.S., 175 million in Canada, 8 billion worldwide. There's not one financial institution that provides capital to those unique set of rights. That's what Indigena was founded on when it was reformed 3 years ago. We're going to spend a lot of time today now on ag, focusing on it's not just about taking that one lease payment. It's about controlling the value chain from farm to table. And we're going to talk about there's a unique situation that's taking place in the world that is a tremendous opportunity. In fact, I would argue it's actually, there's only one group that can provide the solution, and that's indigenous communities. Because to solve the issue we're going to talk about, it takes land, water, and the right people. And we're going to talk about that, and we're going to use an example of how that's already initiated with the Blood Tribe. So what's taking place in the world, some of us might hear the term, we'll use one about organic farming. What is organic farming really? That's mothers and fathers and families saying, we want to know where our food is from. We want to know what's in it. Has our seed been altered? Is there transparency? All the way down to the people working at that farm, are they treated fairly? All the way through the process of the table. You'll heard the term food security. It means a lot of things. Because ironically, the world is actually oversupplied with food. What's missing in the system, though, is the world has said no longer will we just go to the store and buy something that we really don't understand where it's from or what's been put in it. We want transparency. And so the situation we find ourselves in today is that the archaic practices of the historic farmer and the infrastructure are not designed to solve that problem. So what I'm going to do to speed this up because of our limited time, I'm going to ask Mr. Shar to come up, and we're going to walk quickly through this problem. We're going to give you an example that you'll go, I think you'll find that's very interesting that has to do with, for instance, organic farming. And then we're going to talk about something that we're proposing. We're going to talk about a venture that has kicked that process off with the Blood Nation. And from our position of learning, because we've been able to meet with most of with all the nations of the Confederacy, that this should be an effort that's founded by this Confederacy, even though it will go worldwide. So we're going to talk about that quickly. Felon, I'm going to ask you to keep the pace up. Hopefully we'll have a few time for questions. But at the end of the day, we think there's a tremendous opportunity for each one of you. What we bring is capital and expertise. What you're going to hear from Jamie, we don't take these things over. We empower your business. We don't make it ours. We empower your business. It's a very different approach.
Thank you, everybody, for having us. My name is Colin Shar. As Christine mentioned, up from Dallas, where we support the work of the indigenous and very many nations that we work with. It's been a pleasure to work with the Blood Tribe specifically. I apologize to some of the counselors that have probably seen some of these slides before, so apologies for being redundant. We want to identify how we go about our investment process. So John talked about the forces in the agriculture markets currently. Consumers are driving this industry. Mothers and fathers want to know what they're giving the children, where it came from, what that quality is. We're going to talk about those things as impacting our approach and our partnership with Blood Tribe. As we think about these forces, it's about matching things up. We have these macro themes of protein intensity, efficiency, food security. At the same time, you have what do nations control? They control the land, the water, existing production, which might just be in a passive relationship currently. They have the ability to grow the amount of acres that they control. And they also have stability of jurisdiction, the ability to provide a stable supply, a stable long-term counterparty for the markets. And where those two pillars intersect, you have opportunities for investment. So as you look at the right-hand side of that slide, you'll see there are very many sectors. For the beef industry that Hank was talking about, we've talked already about forage. Many nations have substantial canola, wheat, barley production on their lands. There's opportunity in all of those areas, but you need to find points on those chains where you have a value-added solution that works for all the constituencies, the consumers, the farmers, and the landowners. So we're going to talk about that. I want to use an example here. Looking at this slide, you'll see the sectors column, and there's business lines, and that first square there is organics. You see organics in the grocery store every day. Demand is growing tremendously, as Hank mentioned in the prior session. We're going to talk a little bit about how do nations fit into that demand profile. What's this unique solution nations could provide just to that one area? There's 20 different things, as Hank mentioned, that you could look into, but we're going to focus on a couple today. So let's start with organics. I'm going to stick to the images, which are probably easier for everybody to see. On the bottom left-hand side, you'll see that organic sales have been growing at 10% per annum compared to conventional food sales of just 1, 2, 3% per year. So tremendous consumer demand for this product. On the right-hand side, you'll see the size of this market. In 2015, it was estimated at $5.5 billion Canadian dollars just in Canada alone. The U.S. market being about 10 times larger. So a huge market just here in North America, not even thinking about the demand internationally. Well, what's the problem with that growing demand? It's not being readily supplied in a predictable manner. What you see on this chart The green area, that's how fast demand is growing. That's the sales. People are spending billions of dollars in the grocery store every year for organic foods. But that food has to come from somewhere. It has to come from the land, which has been maintained up to organic standards, been certified, has the right documentation to demonstrate to the buyers that yes, in fact, that organic wheat is organic wheat. It's not, I just bought it down the street and I labeled it organic. So it's a very real issue that large international companies are struggling to solve because they cannot find the right source of land, the right partners to deliver that solution at scale. But what does this mean economically? Well, what it means is that organic production gets a higher price. If you can deliver stable supply of high-quality organic products, you are going to earn, you see on the right-hand side, you're going to earn $267 per acre versus $192 per acre on a conventional basis. And so this isn't just a decision about values only, because a person could say, well, I believe in these values, I'm going to allocate my land and my water to those values. In this case, because of the market, you're being compensated a greater amount for investing and sticking to those values. So it's an interesting intersection, again, being driven by consumers. And why is this important to nations? What is unique about the Blood Tribe, the other members of the Confederacy? It's because who you are versus your competition. Just to put that in perspective, this is the total amount of organic acreage in all of Canada. You'll see that bottom column, since we're in Alberta, that bottom column is the total organic acreage in all of Alberta, 400,000 acres. The average farmer, though, is only 600 acres. Now let's put that in context of, take the Blood Tribe because we're aware of the figures. Right now, the Blood Tribe has about 200,000 acres of cropland on the reserve, converting 50,000 acres of that. And you are 100 times larger than the average organic farmer, which gives you pricing power, the ability to negotiate, the ability to solve problems for people who are making Cheerios. You need to assure mom that yes, these are in fact organic Cheerios. So that's the basic construct we're going to talk about. And just put that in numbers. And these are the metrics straight from the government of Canada. The total amount of acreage producing organic wheat and barley in Manitoba is 25,000 acres. So any one nation has the wherewithal to produce as much organic cereal as the entire province. It's a staggering thing to think about. But now you got to say, okay, well, this is the opportunity set. How do we deploy? Who are we competing with? And what's happening is these conventional players that have been active for hundreds of years in some cases, they've built up their entire infrastructure around conventional farming, conventional standards, conventional practices.
Kelly, if I may, I want to make a point here. So think about it. You're Walmart, you're Costco. You have to fill an organic mill with wheat. If the average farm is 600 acres, you got to talk to thousands of farmers, and you got to arrange the logistics of thousands of farmers. You have to certify. Any one of the nations in this room has sufficient fallow acreage. It's organic today. They're dealing with one farmer. Therefore, you have a tremendous advantage. And those Walmarts, the Costco's, the General Mills, they want that advantage, which produces a very unique business opportunity.
And the way these incumbents are trying to service it is you'll see those names at the far right-hand side, Nestle. Well, when Nestle is selling you a chocolate bar, they are trying to get all the way to that upstream into the equation. They're having to reinvent their entire business to be able to assure you that they procured those cocoa beans on a fair basis from local communities in West Africa where they certify the origin. This dynamic is playing out across the agricultural sector. And again, what is it? It's consumer driven. Consumers want quality, they want authenticity, and they want sustainability. They want to know that the price they're paying is a fair price so that tomorrow they can get that same product in that same reliable manner. And so again, how do you invest? How do you play in this dynamic? Right now, the competition, John mentioned the Costco's and the Walmarts of the world. Historically, they used to live all the way on the far end of that distribution, right? They didn't worry about what the farmers were doing. They didn't worry about how General Mills created the Cheerios. They just put them on the shelf and people came and bought them. That's no longer acceptable because the consumers have said it is not. The problem is the existing